The forest remembers, the nation bows to a hero whose courage time still abhors. P. Srinivas, a name of pride, whose light of duty will never subside. I, Priyadarshini, 2024 batch, extend a warm welcome to chief guest of this program, Sri Siddhanta Das, sir, and other esteemed guests of this learned gathering. Today, we have gathered to commemorate a life that served as a platform for fostering inspiration and honor the ultimate sacrifice made by P. Srinivas sir as a collective remembrance. P. Srinivas sir was born on 12th September 1954 in Andhra Pradesh. He joined the prestigious Indian Forest Service in the year 1979. He was allotted Karnataka cadre. During his training at IGNFA, he was awarded College Prize for Botany. Deeply inspired by ideas of Mahatma Gandhi, he made immense contributions in employment-oriented welfare activities, housing scheme for tribal people, to name a few. With his keen demeanor, he dealt with Veerappan, a forest brigand, sandalwood smuggler, and a poacher. P. Srinivas sir eventually made a supreme sacrifice of his life for protection of forest and its resources. Posthumously awarded Kirti Chakra, India's second highest peacetime gallantry award, on 26 January 1992. May this gathering serve as a platform for fostering inspiration and collective remembrance. I now invite Mr. Nitin HR, IFS Probationer 2024 batch, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Priyadarshini. Namaskar to everyone. Sri Siddhanta Das sir, Chairman of Central Empowered Committee, Chief Guest of today's program, Srimati Bharati Ma'am, Director IJNFA, Sri Rajkumar Bajpai sir, Additional Director IJNFA, Srimati Meera Iyer Ma'am, Directorate of Forest Education. It's my privilege to warmly welcome you all to the Kirti Chakra P. Srinivas Memorial Lecture. Your gracious presence makes this occasion truly special and meaningful. Today, we gather to remember and honor late Shri P. Srinivas sir, an officer whose courage, integrity, and devotion to duty continue to guide generations of forest officers. I also extend a special welcome to the family members of Shri P. Srinivas sir. Their presence reminds us of sir's dedication and sacrifice in the service of our forest and wildlife. I also extend my greetings to the retired IFS officers and also faculty members from IGNFA and CASFOS and senior officers from ICFRE, FRI, FSI, and WII. I further extend my welcome to the IFS officers participating in mid-career training program. I also welcome my fellow IFS probationers of 2024 batch and to our foreign trainees from Royal Government of Bhutan. Today, we assembled here to revisit the memory of Sri P. Srinivas sir, whose narrative inspired us during the screening of Netflix series on the hunt of forest brigand Veerappan. Last but not least, I welcome all scientists, officials, staff members, research scholars, students, and those connected through VC for today's program. On behalf of Director IGNFA, I once again extend a heartfelt welcome to each one of you to the Kirti Chakra P. Srinivas Memorial Lecture. Let us take this moment to reflect on the extraordinary life and service of Sri P. Srinivas sir and draw inspiration from his lifelong commitment to nature and environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin, for that heartfelt welcome. I kindly request all the probationers to occupy the front seat and all the audience to occupy whichever seats are free in the front. I request Chief Guest Siddhanta sir to grace the stage and take the seat. I also request Director IGNFA Srimati Bharati ma'am to accompany the chief guest and take the seat on the stage. It is a true privilege we have amidst us today a person of great eminence and accomplishment to present the memorial lecture, to express our heartfelt gratitude for sparing his valuable time and sharing his inspiring thoughts with us. I request Director IGNFA Bharati ma'am to present a bouquet to our honored chief guest Siddhanta Das sir. To introduce our chief guest, I now invite Ms. Kavya YS, IFS Probationer 2024 batch.
Thank you, Priyadarshini. Good afternoon to all. It is my privilege and honor to introduce our chief guest for today's Kirti Chakra P. Srinivas Memorial Lecture, Sri Siddhanta Das sir. Sir is a distinguished officer of 1982 batch of Indian Forest Service who has rendered almost 4 decades of exemplary service to the nation. He has held several key positions both in the state of Odisha and at the national level, making remarkable contribution to forestry, wildlife, and environmental governance. At the center, Sir served as Director General of Forest and Special Secretary in the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Climate Change, highest professional position in the Indian Forest Service. During his tenure, Sir led several transformative initiatives, including preparation of draft national forest policy, digitization of forest boundaries, catchment area treatment planning, forest certification, and strengthening of wildlife and protected area management across the country. In Odisha, Sir served as DCF Denkanal and Sambalpur Division, CCF of Bhubaneswar Circle. Sir also served as PCC of Wildlife and Chief Wildlife Warden. Sir was a secretary of State Pollution Control Board, where he steered major efforts in biodiversity conservation and ensured transparent enforcement of environmental laws. He was the first full-time officer to join Odisha State Disaster Management Authority when it was constituted after super cyclone in 1999. He was instrumental in drafting the state disaster management policy and plan, bringing a paradigm shift from relief and reconstruction to planning and preparedness. Sir also served as a chairperson of Odisha Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Sir also shares a special association with this academy. From 1992 to 1997, he served as a faculty at IGNFA. During this period, he was a course director to our present additional director, sir, as well. After superannuation, sir continued to serve the nation. He served as a expert member of National Green Tribunal. Currently, he serves as a chairman of Central Empowered Committee constituted by Honorable Supreme Court of India, overseeing judicial directives on forest and wildlife conservation across the country. In addition, Sir has offered his reflection on his rich professional journey in his memoir titled By the Grace of God. Sir is widely respected for his visionary leadership, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the protection of India's natural heritage. His life and service continue to inspire generations of foresters. On behalf of Director IGNFA, the faculty, and all the probationers, I extend a warm and respectful welcome to you, sir. I express our gratitude for gracing this occasion with your esteemed presence, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavya. It is our true privilege we have, sir, for this memorial lecture. Before we commence the formal proceeding of the event, we shall begin with the revered tradition that holds deep cultural and traditional significance, the lighting of the lamp, followed by floral tributes to Kirti Chakra, P. Srinivas. I request Siddhanta sir to kindly lead us in lighting the lamp. Please, sir. I also request Director IGNFA to accompany sir. I request Shri MC Gildial sir to join. I kindly request AK Vagal sir also to join. I request Additional Director IGNFA to join the occasion. I also request DFE Srimati Meera Iyer ma'am. Professor Madam Sarita also please kindly join. May the radiance of this lamp illuminate our paths as we navigate through the enlightening discussion. I request Director IGNFA to kindly guide our chief guest to take the seat in the first row for the next part of the event. Thank you, sirs and madam. To take the proceedings further, we have a short video for you that highlights the important events from the life of Kirti Chakra P. Srinivas, a glimpse into the life of the great personality. Video, please. We are all honored to learn more about P. Srinivas sir. Sir's commitment to our nation mirrors our exploration into profound insights and reflections that will unfold during the memorial lecture. Without further ado, please join me in extending a warm welcome to our chief guest for delivering that much awaited memorial lecture. Sir, please.
Good afternoon to everybody. On this somber occasion, I express my thanks to Bharti, the Director IGNFA, respected senior officers present here, faculty members of IGNFA, Task Force, from the officer from FRI, and Wildlife Institute, Forest Survey of India, and other organizations in Dehradun, and my dear professionals. This date is one of our dates when we really have to reflect on how to go about in the service. Because you have, particularly I'm telling this for the professionals who are joining this thing, then when you are joining this service has got a lot of challenges. And when Mr. P. Srinivas joined, that was in 1979. And he has training, he has, 2 years training in those days, 79 to 81. Then we were 3-year probationers, so 1 year probation he had in Karnataka cadre. Then his first posting in the field was in Chamarajanagar division in Karnataka. He joined as an ACF in 1982. And he also continued to be the DFO there after 1 year as an ACF in Chamarajanagar. He was posted as the DFO Chamarajanagar. During that time, this entire Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, particularly those bordering areas, South Karnataka, Western Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, that was under the grip of heavy poaching. And it was headed by Virappan, the forest brigand, and he was targeting all the elephants and smuggling of tusker to outside the country, inside the country. Many people were supplying this as a mementos. So when Mr. Srinivas went there, he came with a mission that he has to handle this problem. So by the time he joined, it has come up in his mind that I have to handle this problem. And he didn't believe in force. He wanted to do the principle that everybody should be mainstream, including Virappan. So he started his way of trying to get Virappan in the main fold. So, but Virappan, of course, he comes from a village on the border of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, across a deep inside the forest, very backward area. And he started sending messages that he should join the mainstream. He started doing a lot of work in those areas to gain the confidence of the people. Yeah. So he had a hospital in Virappan's village itself. And Virappan's sister, he engaged him as a nurse there, and he gained her confidence, the Virappan sister. But Virappan was never in his support. He was always against all these activities, and he was also carrying a grudge that earlier the police had captured his sister and had um, some sort of a maltreated her to extract information. So he never believed what Priest Srinivas was saying. But Priest Srinivas kept on his efforts to keep him back into the thing. So he had this thing. So he started gaining the confidence of the local people and also persuading them not to go for poaching with very, very soft manner during his period. For 4 years, we remember 1 year as ACF and 3 years as DFO. And he started persuading the people. Then Birappan suspected that some of the people are in the village have been supporting Srinivas. So one day he just went to the village. He identified two persons. Then he, in front of all the villagers, he cut them to pieces and threw the body parts so that which were never found. So this was a method of terrorizing the people that if you go with them, this. But in spite of this, Srinivas continued with his effort of getting close to Birappan and try to persuade him. So Birappan's one of the partner was his brother. His name is Arjun. He was also part of Birappan's in the poaching. He participated in that. So he somehow through sister of Birappan, he tried to get confidence of Arjuna. So he could finally get into touch with Arjuna and started working with him and got himself. Then Arjuna actually came and said that Virappan will never agree for surrender because he knows that police will never leave him. And this is a much bigger and much better profession, and they are billing, they earn millions on the by smuggling of the tusks and killing the tuskers. But somehow Srinivas thought that he has gained over Arjuna. So one day Arjuna tells that yes, now Virappan has decided to meet you, but he's not sure that you are about your intentions. He feels that you can get him and then handing over to the police. So he was not sure. So he said that if he wants to meet you and have a discussion with you, then he will take a call. So he says that that's why he doesn't want that you should be accompanied by any armed personnel or anything. You personally come. So Srinivas thought that this is a best opportunity to get across to him. So he himself drove the jeep along with Arjuna, and deep inside the forest, he went to the river across which Virappan's village was there. So near the river, Arjuna got down from the jeep and went away. And at that point, they captured him. And this was actually for a trap which Mr. Srinivas walked into. Maybe he took a calculated risk that he would do that. But Birappan was not of that type, and then he was captured. And on this day in 1991, he was taken there. He was tortured mercilessly, and then finally they cut off his head and took away. He left there because after the death of Mr. Srinivas, his head was never recovered. That was, he took it as a trophy. And this happened after he left the division. Actually, he left the division in 1985 or 6. Then there was a investigation team was constituted in which he was made the head of that SI to capture Virappan. And he relentlessly was trying to do this thing, and all these activities was focusing on that, how to prevent this poaching of the elephants. So there was also a little bit of resentment at that time because it was basically supposed to be a policing job. So it was a police force, but the head was a forest officer. So maybe many people believe that that could be one of the reasons that he didn't get the support that he could have got. But all said and done, the matter was that he had a very, very end that is quite bizarre. And this thing become the thing that we are celebrating in 1991, when last time I was serving in the Rangers College. When he got this news, it was, everybody was devastated. How can this thing happen? And how somebody can be so cruel? And at the same time, we realized that how committed a person can be. Because my batchmate P. Anur Reddy, he succeeded Srinivas as DFO Chamarajanagar. He would say that when I joined there, I talked to both are from Andhra Pradesh. So when he joined there, I realized that this fellow doesn't have any fear at all, because he became the DFO Chamarajanagar and Mr. Srinivas was coming as the SIT team head. So Anur would say that this person, he was absolutely fearless and wanted to, and he wanted that I will only follow this non-violent principle. I would not use any force, and I am 100% confident that I will turn him around. But unfortunately, things didn't happen that way, and on 10th of November 1991, this tragic end to the life of Mr. Srinivas happened. But you see, what after that, Birappan almost finished the tuskers in that area, and then he switched over to smuggling of sandalwood, and he almost made Karnataka almost devoid of sandalwood. And finally, in 2004, in October 2004, uh, he was captured and he was killed. Actually, there was an encounter. He was killed in this thing. And this became a thing that he became a sort of the villain that who is being thing in the forestry sector. So I remember in those days when we have this thing, there Anjan Mahanti is sitting, your husband of your director. So in the IGNFA, there was a skit when we were faculty. So Anjan played the role of Virappan. I remember that. Anyway, that was, so that was, we are trying to see from those days that how this person, one individual, through his mobilization of other people of his type, he was able to spread a terror, and his mechanism was to spread terror. And so, and in fact, if you see this, after the death of Mr. Srinivas, there was a constituted police force, which was ultimately went to the level of being headed by a very senior IPS officer in the rank of IG, then additional DG. In fact, one of them, Mr. Vijayan, who became the advisor to the governor of J&K. So I met him when I was Director General of Forest. I met him in Srinagar. So he had presented me a book where he has narrated how they have handled the Virappan issue and how they got all these things to the land. So the thing is that everybody was there. So one individual, P. Srinivas, he was alone, single-handedly, was trying to solve it and was confident that he will solve it. But ultimately, so many police force, so many people, and all, they could kill after how many years? So, 91 to 2004. So after 13 years of this incident, he could be captured and eliminated. So here the question is that how do you handle this thing? Whether this is an act of valor, how does it inspire us? So here I am tempted, I just can't resist my temptation to mention about Sanjay Singh. Sanjay Singh is a batchmate of your Bharati's batchmate, Manjan's batchmate. He was a faculty, he was a professor when I was a faculty member here. He was one of the brightest professionals in those days, very good debater. In fact, we have a debate competition, so where the faculty members also participate. So he was always beat me. He will be the first. I sometimes come second. So he will say that one day, sir, you will beat me. Don't worry. So, but I could never beat him. But he was one of the brightest, good singer, very person mixed with everybody, very sportsmanship, and everything was that. Then he got Bihar cadre. In Bihar, he also got into this thing, the mafia or mining mafia. So he wanted to say, no, I have to, he was a DA for Sasaram district and Sasaram division. And he went to the mafia, and he was also same characteristic as P. Srinivas, absolutely fearless. And he wanted to meet the mafia. So one day there's a Rehal range in Sasaram division. After breakfast, he, along with the driver and two guards, I think, he went to the den of that mafia mining area, which was almost people never wanted to go there because that was a completely MCC, that Naxalite dominated area. So Sanjay went there. So naturally to everyone, he was captured, and these Naxalites, they tied him to a tree. And then they started beating him. Then he said that then they were shouting at him abuses. So Sanjay Kind was also saying that you are also what you are doing in the name of serving the people. You are not doing. You are all mafia. You are all supporting the mining mafia. You are only lip service to the villagers. So they were not. So she was very badly beaten up. But Sanjay all the time kept on saying that I will not accept your this thing that you are working for the people. There were also some people from the villages were there. I will never accept that you are working for the people. You are all working on behalf of the mafia, this land, mining mafia. So you better serve it, and I am not going to surrender. So then they threatened that will kill you. They even if you kill me, I will not surrender. Then by that time, I think he has a broken a bone or something like that, and it was extreme pain. Then they offered him that, okay, you will release you. You promise that you will bring 1 lakh rupees and give it to these poor villagers. Then Sanjay said, no, I will also not do that. I want you to get out of this mining business. So they finally, actually, it was happening in front of the villagers and all the forest driver, name I think that Mehboob or something. You know, that driver was there. Then people. So they were virtually, they shot him dead there. And then, of course, the persons who were, the 5 of them were finally convicted. They went to jail, the life imprisonment. So now the question is that what was common to both of them? Both of them had very commitment to the service, to the profession, what they are doing. Both of them were fearless, and both of them had their ways of solving this thing. Now the question is that, was it the right thing to do? Because see, then I sometimes when you this thing that you have, I draw a comparison to Abhimanyu. See, when Abhimanyu in Mahabharata, when there was a Kurukshetra war was going on, so he went to that Chakra. So in Chakravyuh, there are 7 Maharathis against which he was the one 16-year-old boy was beaten. But he went there because he has learned when he was in the mother's womb that how to penetrate the Chakravyuh. But he has not listened how to get out of that. So he alone, he was the only warrior from the Pandava side. He got in, he fought his best, but at the end he was killed. So I would say this Srinivas or Sanjay and many more people, they entered the Chakravyuha. Now the question is that, should one enter the Chakravyuha when you don't have know to come out? I would say yes. Why? Because you have one P. Srinivas or Sanjay Singh once in decades, and their sacrifice stand as a inspiration for others. You are all professionals, you all know about the Johari window. I'll just make a comparison with that. In a Johari window, we say every personality, we have 4 quadrants. You have a quadrant. So there are certain characteristics in you about which you are aware, and others are, you are also aware of you. That you know that I have these strengths, these are my weaknesses, and others also know that these are your strengths and these are your weaknesses. So that's like an open book. So everybody knows about that. So a normal, ordinary person, he only operates in this zone. The areas which he is aware of, that these are his strengths and these are his weaknesses, and others are aware of also that. So that's a very narrow range. So many people spend their life without getting out of that box. Then the second quadrant is that there are certain characteristics which you know yourself, that you know that you have that characteristic, others don't know. So those are the things which then you know, yes, I have this strength, others don't know. So we can, some people use that characteristics to get some laurels for themselves, individual. That can be very, so can be selfish also. And there is the third quadrant is that there are certain characteristics which are in you, but others know about it, but you don't know. So what happens to your colleagues, your bosses, they can use that to get a solution for that, but you may not be knowing about that. But the most important quadrant is that there are certain features which neither you know nor others know. That is the dark zone. So where that is the zone where those who dare, they go that to zone. They dare to go into the dark zone to that. That is like walking into the Chakra. Srinivas, Mr. Srinivas, he never thought that he will be. He took the risk. He had risked his life risk was there, but his main intention was that I will convert this man. So he walked into that dark zone, and once you get into that dark zone, somehow, somewhere, the system or there is some light comes and you come out of that. Similarly, suppose when Abhimanyu is there, had some Arjuna got there, his father could have gone there, then he could have found an escape route perhaps, but he couldn't go. Similarly, when Sanjay Singh's case was there was nobody to rescue him. So he fought and died. But here the question is that their sacrifice, I will not say that they went there knowingly that they're going to die. No, they didn't do that. They were taking a very strong, calculated risk that yes, this is my commitment, this is my conviction. I want to stop poaching here. So I will do this, and this is my way. And he was confident that he will be able to succeed. That's why he has cultivated Virappan's sister, his brother, and everything. Somehow something went wrong and this thing. But now Srinivas, after 91 till now, he has been 44 years, 34 years have passed, and he's still inspiring all of us. And this is the thing. And they are the ones that is what is required, where you can see that. So you know that we have film that I will draw an as a, because our people, he got a Kirti Chakra. But I would say, look at the thing, other things. Suppose the army people have that. In the 1962 war, you must have heard about Major Setan Singh, who fought in the Ladakh region with 120, only 120 personnel from the soldiers from Kumaon regiment when the Chinese attacked. They were not even properly dressed. They didn't have the proper equipment. It was so much of a cold. But they decided to fend off the Chinese attack. There was about 700 odd Chinese soldiers and there were only 120. So they fought and they killed many of the Chinese people, but ultimately all of them were killed. And Major Setan Singh was conferred with Paramvir Chakra. So similarly, we can say, I can draw a parallel this thing. Maybe we are not fighting on this border. Maybe we are not doing that. But here, what Major Setan Singh was, he was trying to defend the country. He was protecting the country. So knowingly, he went to the death. He wanted to kill them and refer them as long as possible, prevent the Chinese ingress. So that is why he was conferred with Paramvir Chakra. Okay. Similarly, but here is slightly different. What Srinivas and did that, or even Sanjay did that, so many other things did that. So their thing is they work for a purpose. Srinivas was so committed to prevent poaching that he said that he has to that, and he put his life on the slack that he should be. I may lose my life, but I won't uh, back out. And this is how we have this thing for that. You can say that there is a saying. This is here. I also there is a saying that have George Patton. George Patton is a army general of United States who fought the World War II. So there are many films. Many of you would have seen the film Patton. So there is a very famous dialogue in that. He's addressing his soldiers. It's an inspirational speech. He is saying that I don't want you to die for your country. I want you to make the other fellow die for his country. So here, now the thing is that what is the difference between that? Here we are not fighting war. Those against whom are the smugglers, they are also our people. They are only misguided. So what Srinivas is that he's not fighting a war. He wanted them to be on our side, on this thing. Actually, Srinivas wanted that they should come back to this thing fold so that he could have utilized them. He repeatedly sent that message. But anyway, there are things, in fact, there's many backers. There are many people who backed him with money and all those things. So that is why you have said that. So what I'm saying that in all these things is that we need people who will dare to get into the Chakra and hope that some light will guide them out of the Chakravyuha, which they can do something, or the system should have something in that so that you can get out of the Chakravyuha. Now, ladies and gentlemen who are joining the service now, things have improved a lot. When we joined the service, or our seniors sitting here, things were now, we didn't have even a communication system. So how you were doing that, I will give you some example from my experience. I was DFO Denkanal in way back in 1986, about 40 years back. So none of you were born at that time. So when I joined there, I was told that it's a very notorious division. It's notorious for timber smuggling, a lot of smuggling, and there is a armed and very organized smugglers. Okay. So I had joined. I was very young at that time. So I went to a forest along with my staff. Then I suddenly found a person who came and started shouting at us and said and started telling the forest guards and all that, why are you accompanying the DFO? They will not support you when something happens. You are all fools. This department is a useless department that never helps anybody. And he was using very curses. So I wanted to know what is the problem. He was a burly person, quite old. At that time I was, must be around 55, 60 years old. Then he told that this same forest where you have come, I was a forest guard here. So when there was a smugglers came in, so we had a confrontation with them. They attacked me and I also challenged them. And since I was very physical thing, so they run away. And I caught hold of one person. He started hitting me, and I also started hitting him. And then I killed him in my bare hands. Then what happened? Did I do it for myself? I was doing it for the government. I was doing it for the state, for my department. I was, because I was paid salary from this department. So, but when I was selected, I was not given any special treatment. I was charged for murder under 302, and I was convicted. I was dismissed from service, and I served my jail term. And the thing was, I told that you then through that. So he was trying to tell the other forest guard, don't do these things because nobody will come to your rescue. So that was my almost the first few months, I think a couple of months of my joining in the division. So I realized that this is something where you have to motivate the people. And in those days, I found this from these officers were very, very uh, demoralized. So then I started saying that I just started building confidence in him then that whatever you do, there is organized smuggling. I will definitely stand by you. You will know, sir, that whatever, what come, what may, I can stand by, you can count on me. And I started building their confidence. And there are some 2, 3 occasions where I could do that because I had developed a good rapport with the police and all that. Then after I stayed there for 3 years, but then I was transferred in 1989 from that division to, I came as a principal Forest Rangers College. In those days, there was a young range officer. His name is Ashok Mishra. He had joined. He joined service in 1983, and he has posted there. Since he was quite inspired by my words and all that, so he was in charge of the range, this main range. So then in 90, there was just before the elections, after I say 90 or 91, there was elections were to be declared after the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. And in an encounter inside the forest, so one of the smugglers was killed. And it was election time, and there was a lot of furor and all these things. And I was not the DFO at that time also. And Ashok Mishra was being hounded. The SP and everybody, they wanted, particularly the political people, they wanted, now the forest people are becoming very, very high-handed. Then we must charge this range officer for murder. So he didn't know where to go because at that time the DFO he was to retire that month itself. He took his hands off. No, no, I can't do anything. You have done it. I never asked you to do all these things. So he just, so Ashok Mishra came running to me. They said, what to do? Please, save me from getting arrested. So I said that, okay, I asked him to stay at my house. Will you stay here? This is a safe place. Nobody can come here. So I went to the SP. The SP, I knew him personally. And I told him, that's it. No, 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 you first ask him to surrender. There is so much of a pressure on me. But I kept on asking and prevailing on him that, "No, you couldn't do this." Because what did you do? Do you think that he did it for any personal gain? It was, he was doing to protect the forests. He was doing that. So with a lot of difficulty, I could persuade the SP. He was a quite elderly person, and he finally agreed. Then he told me that, why are you getting so personally involved? Let law take its own course. You know how law takes its own course. Then I narrated this case of this forest guard who had felt these things. So I told him that I don't want this thing to happen to Ashok Mishra. So he should not be arrested. Then they said that, okay, how to do that? Then we struck out a strategy which I would not like to mention here. But we could find, then we diluted the case. Then we somehow kept him undercover till the elections were over. And then gradually made the case that he was not personally, it was considered to be an accident, and that was not treated as a murder as this thing done. Why I am narrating is that when you go to the field, maybe you will also explain this type of things. So you will be going as leaders. So if you find somebody who wants to be an Avimanyu, or you want to be yourself be an Avimanyu, always think that all the Abhimanyus need not sacrifice their life there. You can become, these two Abhimanyus of ours, they have been inspiration for the rest of us, for all of us. But you can always say that one who is daring to go to the dark zone, who wants to say that, yes, I want to challenge this thing. I have this conviction. I have this commitment. You facilitate his realization of his dreams, his escaping from that Chakravyuha. So that is what I would like to say on this date, that the supreme sacrifice, I don't agree with pattern that you make the other fellow die. No, the other fellow is also one amongst us. We have our job in a society where it's a civilized society. We have to take everybody along with us. Now, when you are doing forest management with the help of people, with the forest dwellers, we also should not take them as something other than us. So we have to better is that to what Mr. Srinivas wanted to do way back in 91, or during his short span of career from 1979 to 91. Only what he wanted to. He wanted that everybody should come along with the mainstream and become a part of the thing and part of the forest protection. He failed, but I wish, hope you take inspiration from his life and take everybody along with you and do the forest protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I request you to please take a seat on the stage, sir. We have an interactive session now. I request Director Ma'am IGNF also to kindly join, sir. So, your words have not only illuminated the ethical standards expected of civil servants in a democratic society, but have indeed rekindled in us a noble sense of purpose, urging us to rise to the sanctified trust bestowed upon us by people we serve. On behalf of everyone present here, we express our deepest gratitude for sharing your valuable perspectives and motivating us to uphold the highest ideals of service. Now, with the kind permission of our chief guest, we open the forum for the interaction. Over to the audience gathered here. Probationers of 56 RR, if you have any clarifications, you can kindly interact with sir. Chandrabhushan.
Sir, I'm Chandrabhushan, 2024 batch probationer. Sir, my question is, artificial intelligence have taken its roots in governance and public life. How do you see forestry sector evolve in this age?
Actually, artificial intelligence is the latest thing that you should take advantage of it. In fact, we have to be always tech savvy and keep pace with what is happening. So when we joined, there was virtually nothing. So, we didn't even have wireless sets or anything. Artificial intelligence, I feel, is very important and one should get into that. But I have a feeling that this is being misused many times and making false propaganda. You might have all seen in recent days there is a AI generated video circulating that in Chandrapura forest rest house in Maharashtra, one watcher of a forest rest house was picked up by the tiger and man-eater and taken away. And the matter went to such an extent that the CCF of Chandrapur had to issue an notice that nothing like that has happened. This is only a 10th of, 30th of October, this last month only, few days back. And many people started believing that there is a man-eater in Chandrapur. There has been, and this creates serious problems because man-animal conflict is quite common there, and people have some antipathy towards that. Of course, that later on that turned out to be a joke that somebody put another AI-generated video that the tiger is coming back and put him back in the seat, offering him a bottle of water and all those things. But this AI, if properly used, can be very useful for us and we can use that. But you have to be more careful that it is not misused by others. Particularly in this case, people, there is a very sinister motive that they wanted to aggravate the man-animal conflict. And this video was created with that in purpose. Of course, that fizzled out, that's a different thing. But we have so this deep fake that those are being created by this artificial intelligence. We have to have. So you can only fight that unless if you are an expert in that. So you are all quite smart people. So I would expect that you will be doing well in artificial intelligence and do it well so that you can counter the negative propaganda about the department and our wildlife and forest.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I was wondering, since we see the forest rights based governance is gaining momentum, so what do you think is the evolving role of forest department to balance between the ecological protection and community rights, especially in cases where they come in conflict with institutions like Panchayat Raj institution or forest development committees?
Okay, with this Forest Rights Act, in fact, in the CEC now we are dealing with one petition filed by the some forest officers from Telangana. Actually, this Forest Rights Act that came into being with a very good purpose. The idea was that because there was a feeling in many quarters that the forest dwellers have been wronged. They were living in the forest and doing nothing more. And the forest department has, in the name of conservation, in the name of production forestry, they have been unfair to the forest dwellers. So this act came to provide a one-time solution to make de facto to de jure. What is actually in the field, de facto, what is there? Suppose somebody is actually occupying an area and doing his cultivation, to make it, give him a legal right on that. So de facto should be made de jure. Suppose there is a community, they are doing certain things where many states, almost all the states, they have community have their rights and they have been exercising that rights, but there is no legal backing. So this act intended that this will be legalized. So was a de facto become de jure. But there was a cut-off date. That is what we understood. So that's a cutoff date. But what happened later on, this is being used again and again by many people, many governments particularly, to give rights to people who perhaps may not be deserving. We are not sure. We are doing that. It would be too premature to say on that. And there is no sunset clause on it as of yet. So if suppose somebody is exercising rights over the years, let's say 75 years, 3 generations, they are saying. So you can't be doing fresh rights should not be coming up. So that is where you have to that. You have to first accept that the communities do have a right and they have been exercising it over for the hundreds of years. So that should be protected. But at the same time, the forest needs to be conserved because, you'll be all proud to say this is a matter of pride for Indians is that India, we are having only 2.4% of the world's geographical area. In 2.4% of the geographical area, we are supporting 17% of the human population and 19% of the cattle population. In spite of that, we are among the top 10 countries in forest extent wise. And more importantly, there are only 15, 16 countries in the world where the forests are acting as carbon sink. So India is also a carbon sink. And the forest, because of this forest officers and also the communities, you must not forget that, the forests have been improving. The Forest Survey of India report, every biennial reports are produced. So India, despite so much of anthropogenic pressures, 19% of the world population depending on only on 2.4% of the land area, we are able to maintain green cover of 24% is a huge achievement. And that is why it's happening, because the forest management and the community participation has been there. So for forest conservation, we have to carry the people along with us and also give them their rights and make it a win-win situation for all. As I told you that what Mr. Srinivas was doing, what he was doing, he wanted to make the smugglers the protectors. Many places it has happened. Many bird poachers have become the protectors of the birds and animals.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Shivani from 2007 batch from Telangana Academy. Presently, I'm working with this. Sir, my question is related to the subject of credit, sir. It's been 46 years that Srinivas has made so great sacrifice. And in the brief period of my service, I have many people taking the same sacrifice at the lowest of levels. There are many recent incidents also, like 2022, Telangana also got the range officer while trying to prevent encroachment, made his sacrifice of his lives. And the similar kind of sacrifices and similar stories are made in other states also. Apart from smuggling, encroachment, smuggling and poaching, the encroachment is one subject which is common to all of the states, and each and every one of us is facing that in the field. Whenever such incidences happen, we become very too active from bottom to the top when we start fighting and discussing this issue of the safety of the foresters in the fields. But after a few days, everything goes back to normal and then people forget. So in this context, my query to you is that, sir, whether as foresters have been failed in providing the kind of support to give to the field foresters so that they have the kind of courage we expect, they have the kind of motivation that we expect from an officer like Srinivas or Sanjay sir. There are many Srinivases, many Sanjays in the field, and the Veerapan has changed his face. Veerapan is all around us. And the so-called people for whom we are working, we are trying to provide the services, those same people in the name of being poor people or tribals, they are just simply coming and attacking and nothing happens to them. For example, in this case of our danger officer Srinivas Rao, also those people were the tribals only. So ultimately, as foresters, maybe at state level, there might be certain support Even I see every time this issue of providing weapon to the foresters is discussed, and maybe some states are providing, but some states they don't have. So what kind of safety is it? There is nothing concrete that I can see, maybe others agree with me, at government, central government level, that the foresters get any kind of support. And can there be some kind of policy or some decision at the highest level that, every time the foresters do not beg for what they require to, protect the resources, which is not only ours, which is never visible what we are doing, which is for everybody. So your comments on that, please.
Thank you. I'm happy that you took up this matter. The question is that when you are guarding foresters, we are custodians of about 1/4 of the country's land mass. But what has happened, unfortunately, is that most of the states, we don't have a proper map. The maps were made sometime in 1885, 1910, something like that. And those maps can hardly stand the scrutiny of law. So most of the cases we lose. And that thing. So when the Supreme Court, in a very landmark judgment, in a Lafarge case versus Union of India, as an IA of the famous Godavarman case, Supreme Court has passed an order in 2011 that all the area that is a forest, as per the Forest Conservation Act, that whether it is a government forest as per any government record, or that is a forest which is deemed to be a forest, although it is not recorded as forest as per the dictionary meaning of the term. So, and also Supreme Court wanted that all the corridors, all the areas that is being diverted to be digitally mapped. The digitization of the forest. So then you know what is your, suppose you have, as an individual, suppose you have purchased a plot of say 6,000 square feet plot. You insist on the map. You have the exact location map. But unfortunately, our DFOs, they go by the hearsay, this map, this, and some maps which are really not authenticated or which cannot be. So this Supreme Court's order of 2011 is a real thing for that. Everybody should do. But I'm sorry to say, many states have tried. But as far as on today, Odisha is the only state where the forests have been digitally mapped, digitized. Forest boundaries have been completely digitized as per the Supreme Court orders. When I was Director General Forest, this was one of my main pursuit. I was doing that. I was pursuing all the states that you should do that. Only thing is that it's expensive because you are digitizing the most important thing. But more important is that to reconciliation with the revenue department. Your neighbor, for every forest land, the neighbor is a revenue land. So many of these, suppose in your state also. So the thing is that your revenue map and the forest map, they never coincide with each other, because your map is 1:50,000 scale, their map is 1:4,000 scale. Right. So this Supreme Court's order should have been taken, which Odisha did. And Odisha, what they did that forest and revenue department together. They did this survey, and now in the last, I think 5 years or more time has taken. But they have now digitized all the forest. So now you know, this is my area. So when you say the fundamentals, that you are saying that somebody will say they have this sympathy and good. This is happening because number one, that you don't have the area demarcated properly. Now we have so much of a this thing, all these DGPS maps, everything. And as a professional, I would say, then we have to accept that there will be reduction in area. Why? Because whenever there is an area is in the slope, when it is projected, the area will reduce. So when you are doing a chain compass survey or a plane table survey, you are making some corrections for the slope. But in a DGPS survey, it will be accurately as the projected field. So it's likely, suppose in Odisha, they found that there is a 2% decrease in the area. Okay, the state government accepts that, yes, and that decrease in area is acceptable. Because because there are many hill slopes which have to be projected. The orthogonal projection that has to be done. So first thing is that. Similarly, other points which you are saying, that you have to go back to the roots. Why this thing? It is not nobody's personal challenge or say it's a systemic failure if we are not able to do that. So I agree that like Mr. Srinivas and Sanjay Singh, there are many other people have done that, but we have to take somebody as your role model and who has done this thing. And Mr. Srinivas has done it when way back in 91, and that serves as the leading light, and we have to follow that. And we hope now what is the things are improving, and I'm sure things will keep on improving. And now the awareness on forest conservation and wildlife conservation is definitely on the increase, and people are more concerned about this conservation of these things. So many of our conservation efforts are driven by the people's cooperation also. We have people's movements also.
Gaurav.
Good afternoon, sir. Director ma'am. My name is Gaurav Sharma. I'm 24 batch, sir, going to Kolkata. Sir, if you look at the 1980s, 1990s, the role of the forest service officers were to protect, not just to protect the forest areas, but also to fight with the non-state actors. If you look at the postings of, let's say, Srinivas, and this is, so they fought against non-state actors, mafia, and others. But right now, the security situation has changed. It has improved a lot. So, if I need to know that, what are the recent challenges, what are the current challenges that we have to be prepared for when we go to the field, and then what role we will be playing. So, if sir can compare between during that period and now what?
Yeah, very interesting question. I would like to say, yes, the forest management thing has changed. When we started forest management in 1864, we only took up the forests in the interiors, dense areas, and our object of management was sustained yield management. You take an area, and intention is that you keep on getting the same cubic meter of a principal species. That could be sal, that could be teak, that could be deodar, that you want a sustained yield of that product. This thing continued even after independence. Okay. So the main objective of forest management was to give revenue to the government. Britishers did it, and then also after independence also we started doing that, this thing, that forests officers were judged by the revenue they generated. Guildials have, there will be, initially our CCRs were written on the revenue collected by that officer. Then in the 80s came sustainability. We didn't talk of sustained yield. We said I wanted to have systems which are sustainable. Yeah. So that means we have to take, so the whole system is sustainable. I will not go very much into detail, maybe some other time director will tell to help on that. But now, if you are talking your generation, I would say right now the most and the single critical issue that faces the earth is the global warming due to climate change. This thing that you know, this thing, that forests are the only, or the plant community is the only mechanism that sequesters carbon dioxide. There is no other mechanism. The geological method which were told some time back, that has not viable. Only way you can absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is by converting the carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. Carbon becomes the biomass and oxygen is released for us. So India, as I told you, is one of the, you see, our lungs of the earth is the Brazilian rainforests. But you will be surprised to know Brazil on the whole is a net negative. It releases more carbon dioxide than it absorbs. India is only among the top 15 countries where it absorbs, and it's increasing. And the Prime Minister of India in the 2015 Paris Climate and UN CCC UN Triple C, there he has said that India is going to sequester 2.5 to 3 gigatons of carbon dioxide by the year 2030. So when we are told, actually when we made the calculation as per the FSI reports, we realized that in the present rate, we can sequester only 1.91 tons, 1.91 gigatons. So we'll fall short of the Prime Minister's promise by 1.1 to 6.6 gigatons. But now, because of these activities of the young people and this thing, the carbon sequestration rate has been accelerated through catchment area treatment and so many other things. I am not going to details. And the rate at which we are going, we will achieve the target set by the Prime Minister before 2030. So that itself is a thing. So as a young forester, I will say that your objective now in forest management is more conservation and carbon sequestration. And you should find ways how you can say that. And that's why I will say that forestry, in fact, you are now more into environmentalist than foresters. When we are only foresters. We are, in fact, in the ministry, even today, it is the forest officers remain only in the forestry. But I strongly feel forest officers are the best position to be in charge of the conservation of environment, water, air, earth, everything. So I believe, and I am sure your generation will take the leadership in environmental conservation and particularly carbon sequestration for the global, arresting global warming.
Any more doubts?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm involved here. I belong to Academy. Sir, my question is with respect to present forest-related divergence. So, sir, many a time we see that in the calculating the camper values of NPV, we include only the ecological values of forest. But many a time the communities which are also dependent on those forests, their socio-economic values are not. So, sir, I want your guidance that how we can benefit those communities through NPP or any other.
Okay, good that you have raised this issue, because when the Forest Conservation Act came into force, 25th October 1980, it was a very one-line act. No forest land shall be diverted for non-forestry purpose without prior permission of Government of India. And how it will be compensated? By tree for tree, land for land, tree for tree. Then one gentleman who, the Godavarman, T.N. Godavarman, he filed the famous case in 95. Actually, we should have at least in IGNF, we should have a photograph of at least Godavarman here, if not a face of this thing there, that he asked in the Supreme Court, what is a forestry purpose, what is a non-forestry use, and what is a forest land? Actually, nobody had any answer. When you say what is a forest land, we didn't have any answer. Then Supreme Court came and gave the answer. They framed the definition. They said, any land that is recorded as forest in any government record, irrespective of what is the forest growth on it, is a forest land. And the second category is that any land that supports natural forest, underline the word natural forest, irrespective of whether it is recorded as forest or not, these will be forest land. So they asked all the states to say that you give this thing. So those which are not recorded as forest, those will be taken as deemed forest. And then they also said, what is a non-forestry activity? Any activity that is not designed for conservation purpose. Even plantation, suppose you are doing some plantation for exclusively for revenue purpose, that will be a non-forestry activity. So all the forests within the definition of the Supreme Court, those have to be conserved. So then they said tree for tree and land for land will not suffice. So they came up for the NPV, net present value, sometime 2002. 2003, that came there, that it is not the tree. Forest is much beyond tree. So then they said, had the forest continued in this land, what would have been the ecological value of that? So then they calculated that is called the net present value. You know, all know what is how we calculate net present value and all that. Indian Institute of Forest Management, they were assigned the task, and there were some people, they calculated the NPV, and they said, okay, the net present value of a forest, they related it to the density, the forest type, and the NPV was calculated. So now, if you see in the Campa, the major contribution is that of the NPV. Compensatory afforestation is very minimal for that. Now you are raising one step ahead. You are saying that what about the social cost? I understand it then. Yes, this is, I think, nobody. But social cost is being calculated in a different way. Now, whenever there is a forest diversion, you would know when you go to the field, for any diversion, there is a Gram Sabha or Palli Sabha, as the case may be, is done. And then the views of the people are taken, and how to compensate their social loss is taken in that Gram Sabha meetings. So that is an indirect way. Suppose any forest land that is being diverted, this Gram Sabha and this thing is mandatory. So that is also taken care of, but that is not quantified in monetary terms and given that. Maybe someday it will happen.
Thank you, sir, for taking the questions and clarifying the doubts. I now request Director Ma'am, IGNFA, to present the memento to Chief Guest as a token of high respect and gratitude. Thank you, sir and madam. To extend our gratitude, I invite Ms. Nisha SN, IFS Probationer 2024 batch, to propose the formal vote of thanks. Thank you, Priyadarshini. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor and privilege to offer a formal vote of thanks for the P. Srinivas Memorial Lecture Program. First and foremost, I express my heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, Sri Siddhanta Das, sir, Chairman of Central Empowered Committee, for gracing the memorial lecture by his esteemed presence, honoring the legacy of Kirti Chakra P. Srinivas IFS. Your participation lends a profound significance to this event, and your idea and guidance will undoubtedly serve as an inspiration to all of us. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Srimati Bharati Ma'am, Director IGNFA, for attending the program. My gratitude also goes to other esteemed dignitaries who have honored us with their presence. Shri Rajkumar Bajpai Sir, Additional Director IGNFA, Srimati Meera Iyer Ma'am from the Directorate of Forest Education for attending the event. I would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to the family members of Shri P. Srinivas Sir for gracing the memorial event. I express my sincere gratitude to retired IFS officers, the faculty members of IGNFA and CAS Force, senior officers from ICFRE, FRI, FSI, WII, and other institutes. I further thank senior IFS officers participating in mid-career training phase 3 for attending the program. I would also like to acknowledge the invaluable support and guidance given by Professor Academics, OIC Estates, OIC IT, OIC Vehicles, AP Admin, and Course Director of 2024-25 IFS batch. Their tireless efforts have been instrumental in ensuring the seamless execution of the program. At last, I would like to thank my fellow probationers of 56th RR
and everyone present in the audience, as well as those who are connected online. Their participation is a testament to the enduring legacy of Kirti Chakra P. Srinivas and the importance we place on recognizing the sacrifice of our brave officers. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Nisha. I request everyone to rise up for the national anthem. National anthem, please.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्रविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
With the permission of Chief Guest, we shall conclude the event. I would like to kindly invite Chief Guest, Director Madam and dignitaries to join the high tea arranged in IGNFA Guest House Mess. I request all the other guests to kindly wait till the Chief Guest leaves the hall. Other retired officers also are requested to join for the high tea.